welcome back to the Retic Rebellion Podcast. I'm Lee, I'm with Levi and Bill, and this week we have Jake with JKreptiles. How's it going, buddy? How's it going?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys bringing me on.
Yeah, we've been talking about trying to get you on for quite some time. Ever since we seen you like kind of pop up in the comments and stuff like that. I was like, love to have that guy on. So
yeah, man.
Glad you decided to jump on.
I try to watch everything Retic related, man, that's on the internet. You know, try to stay on top of everybody's stuff and see what's going on. So, yeah.
Man after my own heart.
Right on.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I always bring everything back to retics when we're doing the verses and all that stuff. So, I love it, man.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, we're talking about keeping a large collection. Let's talk about yours. How large is your collection?
So it fluctuates. Right now, I'm probably all-encompassing. We're talking breeders, raise-up stuff, babies I'm keeping, babies I'm selling. I'm probably sitting close to or almost at 100 total-ish, give or take. Yeah, quite a few animals.
Now, how many of those are keepers?
Probably like 60-ish, 70-ish. I don't have a lot available. It's a lot of
quite a bit.
It's a lot of snakes, man. And it's pretty much all mainland stuff. I have one. I just recently got one super dwarf not that long ago. So
welcome to the dark side.
I've had them years ago. I had them when they first were coming in, and I got a bunch, and then I sold them all, and I got a lot more mainland stuff. And I'm a mainland guy at heart, so.
Not to get too off track, because I just find the history of all this stuff super fascinating. So you've obviously been doing this and been in retics for a long time, right?
Yeah. So I just turned 41 this year. I got my first retic when I was 14. So it was like 90. I was still in high school, 97, Perfect. 96. So I've had them for a few years. I got out for like 2 or 3 years. I got really heavy into the car scene, sold all my snakes to do car stuff, and then I got back. Still followed it, but then I got back into the retics. So
from your experience being in that, like back in the day of all that stuff coming in and the super dwarf coming in, can you kind of tell us what the feeling was in the community at that time? Because my understanding, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, is these things were coming in and they were small, and very few people really cared so much about one, the locality, but two, really the size thing. It seemed like the attitude of the community of the past was you get a retic for it to be big, who wants these, and they weren't really selling for much. They weren't really sought after. So it was almost like the market kind of pushed them aside. Is that kind of correct?
Well, I do remember when Bob and them first started bringing them in and stuff like that. Again, I'm a big retic guy, right? So the littler stuff really doesn't do it for me. It's a cool, and it has its place. And even now I think it has its place even more. But when these things were coming in, and probably the image that sticks into my mind, I should have sent it to you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's a picture of Jason Reed, and he was from Texas, Reed's Retics, and he has a picture of a super dwarf. I don't know if it's probably one he got from Bob, so I don't know if it's a Kalatoa or unknown locality, but it's on a clutch of eggs, and he's holding it in his hands like this, and it's just curled up like this, like 9 or 10 eggs. Even as a big snake guy, that's pretty cool to see. It's wild to see these giant monster retics that are 19, 20 feet or so, and then you see this little tiny snake on a clutch of eggs. It was wild. But yeah, they weren't really selling for much. Back then it was Travis Kubis was selling a bunch, Bob, Jason Reed. You could pick up pure super dwarf stuff for, there wasn't really Kalatoa at the time or stuff like that. They were selling them for like $300, $350. These little tiny baby super dwarfs. They were barely as big around as a number 2 pencil, maybe a little bit bigger, but tiny little snakes. I bought one from one of the first ones I got was from Garrett DeMeyer. What is that? Royal Constrictors ball python guy up in Wisconsin. And I actually went to his facility and handpicked out a baby. And I believe his bloodline, if I remember correctly, were from Corey Browning. It was Corey Browning bloodline stuff. And this snake was tiny. A rat pup left a giant meal in it. It was so little. But I think I only paid $400 for that snake. Yeah, it was super cool. It was a super neat little animal.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
like
dude.
like hearing the prices from like the people that were there from the get go.
Well, and then like this kind of leads into it. It's like a lot of people got into them, like bought them, and then like got out of them because of like the interest wasn't there at that time. It
wasn't.
Yeah,
it was all the morph stuff. I mean, this was in the early 2000s, right? So this was the height of Jay Brewer, Nerd, Bob were all produced. I mean, there was a time where Jay was like popping out a new morph combo every day for like weeks on end. You know, it was crazy. It was the height. So like, yeah, that stuff really didn't have a place, and wasn't. I guess not that it didn't have a place. It wasn't super popular. Everybody wanted the morphs, and everybody wanted the morph combos. You know, that's kind of that's how it was at the time. So the locality, at least the smaller locality stuff, wasn't super popular.
No, it's so crazy. It's just so crazy.
Yeah,
it's like I wish I was into it like a decade earlier than I got into it. You know,
and you know, we were still getting imports at the time too, so you were getting import stuff in for dirt cheap. I mean, I'm a big, I don't know if you guys know, but the Sulawesi is my favorite. That's my favorite retic. I have a handful of Sulawesi animals here. You could pick up wild caught Sulawesis for like $150. Babies would come in all the time. It was crazy. I mean, we took it for granted, right? And then when we lost importation, now everybody wants locality stuff and all the new stuff, and it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So what was it like when they dropped the hammer on that?
It sucked,
what went through the community? You being where you were, how did you personally feel?
It was pretty devastating, to be honest. I mean, I had a pretty decent. I didn't have a collection this big, but I still had a pretty decent collection of animals. You know, I think there was a lot of talk of, you know, like it's going to go underground. I mean, it did, and I'm sure people sold stuff underground, and you know, didn't say anything. I mean, it was the same berms. You know, berms have been selling for forever when they were on the Lasiac. So, you know, everybody was rallying behind US Arc to try to get them off, put off the Lasiac. I don't know the exact. It's not that they're off. I guess there was some loophole. I forget what exactly happened, but you know, it was devastating, man. I mean, there was a lot of us talking in between each other, like, what are we going to do? And, you know, the general consensus was just that we're going to keep it quiet and try to, like prohibition style, right? Try to run these snakes across state lines, I guess, best we could, and hope that it gets overturned, which luckily it did. So,
yeah. Okay.
It was very scary, though. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's still scary, you know, because, I mean, it really doesn't take much, I mean, for this all to go away, you know, and it's on the scale that I have. I mean, I wouldn't be able to keep the scale of animals I have if that were to happen. I'm not going to say I would never breed retics and wouldn't sell retics. It would just be a lot more complicated on how to do that, you know?
Yeah. And so back then and now, are you a US Arc supporter?
Yes. Okay. There's things about US Arc that I wish they would do more of. They are the only ones that are fighting for us. So, I mean, we kind of have no choice but to support them. I really wish that they could try to figure out a way for us to get importation back. I know that's super hard and super expensive. I don't know. There's just some stuff I wish they would do more of. I just don't feel like they have like a big voice. They were doing, I think, videos and social media and stuff like that. I think they need to be more active in the community, especially the big snake community. Because like I don't feel like they really represent the big snake community all that well, to be completely honest. You know?
I feel like that they have like there's like a conflict, right? It's a big snake, you know, there's just that thing that's underlying in there. It's like, what the animal's kind of dangerous. It's hard to argue like it's not, and that stuff. And I mean,
but the thing is if retics go down, it's just the first step. They're going to come for everything else. And that's the problem. It's like I don't keep venomous. I would love to, but I don't keep them, but I'm not going to tell somebody else that they shouldn't have them. And if they want to keep them, then they should have that right to, but it's I think because it's like the big snake keepers, the venomous keepers, the monitor guys. It's like those are the guys that are on the chopping block first. I wish there was just more and I don't think there's really any representation through US Arc for those guys. You know, from what I've heard, a lot of like the board members are like ball python guys and boa guys and stuff like that. So it's like we don't really have a huge voice in the retic community on USARK, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
So you're right. There's not a huge voice for the mainlands and super dwarfs and monitors and the venomous community. I mean, no offense to the venomous community, they don't do themselves very well.
no,
We do a pretty good job of policing ourselves inside of the retic community. I say that very, very openly. Overall, I'm not specifying one thing or the other. I don't need people fucking coming at me. But you're right. There's little to no representation on the bigger animals. And one thing we could do as a community is stop bickering and fighting over bullshit like localities and, the shit that goes on, and stop and go pause. USR, like you said, there's nobody else to represent us. Phil Goss is one fucking person. The board is a very small board. I mean, you look at Microsoft, their board is 1,000+ fucking people.
Yeah.
You look at Apple, 1,000+ people. Elon Musk company, thousands of people on the boards, and we've got, I think, I don't even know, a handful of people on the board, right?
Yeah.
So one thing Arizona has going for it, we have the coalition. We have something at the state level that can help us, and every state across the board could do that, form a coalition to help USARK, and that's where I think that representation would come in, because you, I, Lee, Texas, Bill, another Arizona cat, Colorado, New Mexico, you name every state, start something at the state level and then work your way up. You know what I mean? And then USARK has more power that way because there's more representation, there's more people talking, there's more availability, etc. But we're too busy, and this is every community, we're too busy bickering with each other to figure that shit out.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know how we would go about, I think if USARK helped support that, or I don't know, is your coalition, is that aligned with USARK or have ties to USARK, or is it just okay? Yeah, so I mean that could be something cool to do around the country.
Definitely. Shout out to Mike McAllister and the guys over there at the coalition. They actually stopped a no warrant seizure of animals, and this would have gone, if it passed in Arizona, it would have gone everywhere. We would have been all just shit out of luck. They were trying to slip in a no warrant seizure of our animals. So Karen calls down the street. Jake has got animals and he's abusing them. Animal control shows up. Give me your animals. You have a choice. Sit back or you'll be arrested. We're taking your animals. There's going to be an investigation. You can pay $500 up front immediately to get your animals back after X amount of hold, or every day that they're here is basically like taking a car to the storage lot. Fees get higher, et cetera, et cetera. You have to prove that you were innocent before they could prove that you're guilty.
That's crazy.
And in the meantime, they take your animals and take as much money from you as possible.
Yeah.
And this is one of the many things that they've stopped, and they've teamed up with USARK to get a hold of. So again, if it wasn't for the coalition, Arizona or USARK, I don't think would have caught it in time.
Right.
So again, something at the state level can raise something to the federal level. We basically reverse the government.
Yeah.
Just an option that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome if everybody could get on board and do that, I just, like you said, I think there's just too much other shit. Like Phil is just one guy. I don't know how much, stuff he could really do to get all of the states on board, but it's a great idea. Definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, me and Chris talked about it back when I was on Sexing and Flexing, and then, I had some personal shit happen, and we never really got the word out there as much as we wanted to, but we were pushing it pretty heavy for a while.
Nice.
Because, even when stupid shit happens, that's the problem with reptiles, is it's the part that internally pisses me off. You look at the car community, right? You're a part of it. I'm a part of it. Them cracking down on car meets and stuff like that, dude. There's outrage.
Yeah.
Absolute outrage about some of the stuff the government's doing. And it's outrage from one side of the states to the other and everything in between. We don't see enough of that in the reptile community. We need to be tight-knit like the car community.
Well, like the car community, they're taking away our drag strips and stuff, and then they get mad when people are street racing. It's like, well, you're taking the tracks. Where are we supposed to go and race and do this stuff at, So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's, yeah.
See, and then I'll end on this topic because Todd brings up a great point. Getting in touch with your local herp societies, your fish and wildlife guys, if you've got people that are super cool and in with the reptile community, the more people we can pull in that aspect, the more power that we have that way. Because then we have legal representation from a law enforcement aspect too.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
All right. So you talked about imports and everything coming in, right? I'm really anxious to hear the in-depth of this one. Tell me about Travis Cubas. When all these imports were happening and everything, like, give me the skin.
Travis, so me and Travis go back a ways, right? Like I've known, like when I was coming up, getting animals before I was even breeding, it was like Travis Cubas, Jason Reed, James Mitchell. Those were like the top retic guys, right? It was like you had your big, huge breeders, your Nerd, Bob, Kevin, or Jay, and then it was like you had these lower tier guys, right? And those were the guys that I rode with. Those are the guys that helped me, talk to them. I would talk to Travis 3 or 4 nights a week for like 3 hours on the phone about breedings, how to breed, projects, the whole deal, right? So and this was at a time when I was not into the super dwarfs at this time, but I was out at Travis's twice, been out to his facility, spent the night at his place all weekend, hung out with him. Dude, he had so many super dwarfs, so many like snakes. It was crazy. He was one of the first guys that I remember really, really like breeding them. And at the time, I don't remember. Man, there's so much information. I don't remember him calling them Kalatoas at first. I remember them just super dwarfs because that's what Bob was calling them and Wilbanks was calling them, and all the guys that were bringing them in were calling them was super dwarfs. And I don't even remember where they switched from super dwarfs to Kalatoas. There was I listened to one of your guys' podcasts and they were talking about how Travis supposedly had 2 lines, or he was calling some old school and some Kalatoas. I don't ever remember that from all my conversations with Kevin or with Travis and seeing all his animals at his shop listed, labeled on all of his tubs in his snake building. I don't ever remember there saying that there was old school super dwarf and TK Kalatoas. Not to say he didn't, but I don't ever remember that ever being talked about. Travis and Gavin Bowe, they're the ones that started Retic Nation, the website at the time, right? Travis posted on there all the time. I wish we could go back and get all that information. I mean, there was the Retic Nation Facebook group has a lot of information, but that page is like, if we could figure out a way to get all that stuff would be amazing. But I don't ever remember him posting 2 different types of super dwarfs on the page whatsoever. But keep in mind, I wasn't a big super dwarf guy. Like I follow it, but not like I follow the mainland stuff or the morph stuff, because that's more what I'm into, right? So I know a decent amount. I follow a decent amount, but it's not my forte, I guess I would say.
Okay. I mean, it's good to hear from somebody that was there. You were tight with Travis, and it sounds like you guys were really, really good friends, and you were there all the time. So
we were. It's
nice to get that.
All those guys, man. All those guys I was super tight with, and then it's just they kind of fizzled out of the hobby, and then you don't talk to them anymore, and then you find out shit that they're doing in their personal life that you don't agree with, and just kind of move on. Yep. So I will never not. There's a lot of talk about. I got shit on before because I was friends with Travis, and you're friends with whatever he did with his wife and stuff, and it's like when I knew Travis, dude, Travis was a great dude. Like. We sat there and played football with his kids in their yard. Like he was a good dude, great dude. So shit happens, people change, and I'll never take for granted the stuff that I learned or my friendship I had with Travis at all. So he taught me so much, helped me out a ton. So yeah.
No, that happens. You're cool with somebody and then something happens, and I mean, as long as you don't accept the behavior, if you will, then it is what it is. Like,
right. Yeah.
Not everybody's perfect. There's things that come out, shit happens, and you either cut them off or.
Yeah.
I think the world's forgotten too. Like, I've stood by some people, man. Like, I still support MJ to this day. And I was in the trap when he was getting shitted on and everybody was turning their back on him. And I stood 10 toes with him, and look at him today. Like, his growth is insane. That shit should be studied. MJ is 10 times better than he was back then.
Yeah.
You know, not that he was a bad person back then, just he wasn't making the best decisions. I've made horrible fucking decisions. I've done some fucked up shit. Yeah. I'm not perfect.
Well, everybody does. Everybody does. So it's human nature.
One question going back to that TK. So is it your opinion then that the TK is just an old school?
I mean, it's such a hard question to answer, you know. So like that's what I have, right? So this I have a TK Calatoa. I guess you can't call them Calatoas now. It's a TK Super Dwarf. I mean, could they have been mixed with other stuff? Sure, possibly, probably. I just don't think people knew enough of them when they first started getting them in to know what's what. It's a tough. I don't know what the right answer is, right? So, you know, my opinion, you know, it gets brought up in Retic Nation quite a bit, like the names, the dwarf, super dwarf, mainland stuff. Personally, I've never liked those terms anyways. I truly believe the Retic community should get rid of those and just call them the localities they are. Now, obviously, we have those animals. We don't know what those localities are, those, you know, with the smaller locality stuff. So I don't know. What do we call them? You know, collectively as a group, do we just call them old school locality line, or I don't know, some other terminology? I don't have the right answer for it, but I've never liked the marketing gimmick of the dwarf, super dwarf name terminology. No, it's horrible. It's terrible. And because I truly don't think those snakes are going to stay as small as people think. I really don't. You know, we had this argument 20 years ago, all of us, about like the super dwarf staying small. They're going to stay 6 feet. I don't think that's going to happen. I think when you start feeding them the way that retics, in my opinion, the way that retics should be eating, they're not staying 6 feet. You know, yeah, they might stay 9 feet, 8 or 9 feet, which is still a small retic. You know, a 9-foot retic curled up is not a big snake. But I think the 5-6 foot retic is not reality, in my opinion.
So I have a 75% marble, 12.5% Solaire, and it is 6 foot, and he's over 4 years old now, and he hasn't been held back on any food. So I'm wondering if you think he's going to hit a spurt or something after 4 years? Or?
I think, yeah. I mean, I truly think like these snakes, when we see them at 8, 9, 10 years old, they still have a lot of growth to do when they're 4 years old. I mean, that's a very young retic. And again, I think like, you know, I'm sure we'll touch on feeding, right? So my feeding regimen is probably way different than your guys' feeding regimens, right? I'm a very heavy feeder. So I don't feed very often, but everything I feed is very big. I feed, like my big retics are eating 20, 30-pound pigs, you know, and I have 5-6 foot like raise up animals that are eating 3-pound pigs, 2-3-pound pigs, right? So they get this giant meal. And I think that, my opinion is, I think the bigger meals is really what promotes that growth and gets them to grow. If you're feeding something really small, you know, maybe the width of the snake, I don't think they're getting the nutrients that's really going to require them to grow, right? You look at guys like Weston, right? Weston feeds big meals. My buddy Paul, the retic keeper, I don't know if you guys follow him, he feeds giant meals. His snakes are massive retics. So, and they're all very big feeding, or they use really big feeders, right? There's this mindset of, and I'm not saying you guys are doing it, but I see it in the retic community. People are feeding like these 5-6 foot retics like a large rat every 7 to 10 days. That is not enough calories for that animal to really promote the growth that I think they need, right? It's kind of go ahead.
Sorry. If you were to get one to promote growth, what would you?
So like my TK Calatoa or my TK Super Dwarf I have now, right? She's tiny, so she's eating right now. Like I think in the general, you know, your everyday or your average retic keeper, you know, is probably going to feed that snake probably pups or something like that. I'm feeding her weaned to small rats. I mean, she's maybe as big as my thumb. And I mean, I'm feeding her stuff like this, like probably almost 2 times the width of her. And she's already shed 3 or 4 times. She's already grown quite a bit since I've gotten her. I have not had her that long. I've only had her maybe 2 months, if that, maybe a month and a half. So, I mean, she's growing. I think that's the mentality is I think I just don't think people are feeding their retics enough, to be honest. That's just, I see it a lot. And the food is the biggest thing.
So this is such a, oh man, it's
a touchy topic. It's very touchy. And I'm not saying that
layered.
It is. Because I don't think, like, if you want to get a retic or, you know, somebody gets a retic and doesn't want to feed it big meals, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't. You know, as long as the animal's eating and growing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also don't think feeding it that way and saying, oh, this snake's only going to get this big because the snake is this big is correct either, because I feed way different. My snakes are going to grow a lot differently than somebody that feeds smaller meals or doesn't feed as often, right? So it is very layered, like you said.
And a part of that layer, right? Like, and I think this gets excluded from the conversation a lot too, is now that there is some proof, or not some proof, there is proof to the super dwarf. And again, I don't think anybody agrees with that terminology, right? But we'll say to these localities being smaller than the mainlands. There were a lot of people from the get-go that bred mainlands that were like, oh, this, as soon as it got hot, this is a great marketing thing. It's the same thing we're seeing in scrambler and ball pythons, right? Where it's like, okay, this is a fucking sham, and people got ripped off, or people got, you know, whatever. There's a lot of that still going on, and people will use that hill to die on. Oh, that these snakes got 20 foot long, and I was told it was 100% Kalatoa. Trace the cord back to the wall, plug the cord in, ta-da, bright sign, you got lied to, right? So that's one of the layers I'm talking about. The other layer is I'm going to use copper as my hill to die on. I'm feeding copper heavy meals, and he's going sideways. You can literally see the fat starting to build up on him. Now, if your theory is correct, and all these mainland breeders that are coming out super doors at this, the way I'm feeding him, he should be getting bigger. He's putting on a good sized amount of fat. And I think there is a lot of truth to these island localities. Again, you have to go back to like, okay, this is truly Kalatoa. This is truly this. This is truly that. I think there's a lot of truth to it, because I'll just throw this out there too. Thank God we brought Patrick on, because I don't know, for some stupid fucking reason, I put all my boa knowledge into a box and threw it in the ocean. Well, guess what? It came back out. I'm not going to go get a Solomon Ground Island boa and feed it like a BCI. If I did that, I'm going to kill it. It's going to get fat. It's going to die of liver disease. It's going to be ridiculous, right? But BCIs are way bigger, and it's the same concept, right? One's found on an island, the other one found on the mainland with plenty of resources. I think there's a lot of substance and truth to that. The super dwarf should not be fed the way that a mainland is. And yes, if it's got mainland blood in it, you could more than likely activate it with feeding it now. And that's the other layer of this, right? Are we talking pure Kalatoas? Are we talking pure Karampas? Are we talking pure this? Are we talking 12% fucking blood from a mainland, 60%, 75, 2, 3, 8, Bob's your uncle? You know, there's so many layers to this, and I feel like there's not enough fucking science to this yet to put it'll be the hill I die on this one snake. But on the other hand, there's others out there where people can be like, oh, this is the hill I'm going to die on. We just don't have the science.
Well, right? I mean, like I do agree. Like the smaller localities, your Karampas, your Kalatoa, that stuff, it's smaller. I 100% agree that it's smaller, and it will stay smaller than a Sula or a Sumatran or a Javan or any of these bigger locality animals, right? It's 100% true. I just don't. I think the 5 to 6 foot or this, I still think they're going to get bigger than with different feeding. I think they're going to get bigger. To be honest, that's part of the reason why I got this Kalatoa is I've never raised one for 5-6 years, and I want to see how she grows under my feeding schedule. Like, I'm not going to feed her any different than I'm feeding any of my other stuff. I'm genuinely curious. And I mean, so far she has grown quite a bit in the little amount of time that I've had her. Right. So And, is she going to get 12, 13 feet? No, probably not. But will she get 9 foot, maybe 10 foot?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did. So and then you even have the individualities of those animals. They're not all going to get big, just like Sulas. Sulas are thought to be the biggest, but they don't all get giant. So it's every animal within a clutch too is going to be different. It's just like siblings. You have, I'm 6'6". My sisters are not very tall. My parents are not very tall, right? Why am I 6'6"? It varies, right? There's no for sure set reason why.
No.
But it is a very tricky thing. And I think online when people are commenting back and forth, people take it very, I guess, to the point of what you're saying, where, it's hard to get, like for me, especially, like it's hard for me to get all my ideas out from my head onto a post, right? So talking about it, I think it's easier when I'm in person and I'm talking to people. It's a lot easier, I think, to get my ideas out. Because so like, for example, I had a pure mainland I got from Travis, right? And I wanted to see how small I could keep her to breed her. So it was a Sunfire Tiger head genetic stripe female. I finally got her to breed at 5 years old. The snake never ate anything bigger than rats. I'd feed her 2 or 3 jumbo rats of feeding, when she was about 5 years old. That snake was only like 10 feet long. 100% mainland, never, not a drop of dwarf or super dwarf in her. She bred 2 seasons. She gave me like 12 or 13 eggs. I think it was the first season, and 16 eggs the second season. Completely fine, completely healthy. She bred. She did everything she was going to do. Is she an unhealthy snake? No. Now if I fed her how I normally feed my snakes, she probably would have been 16, 17 feet. Would breed, would give me eggs, would go through the motions. Is that a healthy snake? Yeah. I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong answer to the feeding debate, to be honest. You think there is?
No. I'm just curious. So why is breeding the mark for healthy? And I'm going to channel a vet I talked to, and she's going to come on the podcast. Why is breeding the sign of a healthy animal? I'm so confused as to going way back in the day where that came, because you can get a morbidly obese human to have babies. It doesn't mean that she's healthy.
You could, but let me tell you this,
it's a lot harder for a morbidly obese female to get pregnant.
I was going to say, so about, many years ago, my collection was a lot different. I had a lot of really big retics, 17, 18, 19-foot snakes, big, fat, giant snakes, right? A lot of them didn't breed that well. They were fat, they were lazy, they were unhealthy, they just wouldn't breed. Started slimming my feeding back. I still fed big meals, but not as often. My snakes are still getting big, but you can see they're not getting as fat. Breeding is a lot better. So I think I'm not saying that is for sure the benchmark, but I think if a snake is unhealthy, I don't think they're going to breed. If they're in a shit environment, if they're unhealthy, they're not going to breed. I don't see it.
There's proof to the other side of it. Okay, I was just
from what I've seen. And I've been at Jay's numerous times too. Jay had some of the most obese, giant retics you will ever see, and I remember talking to him, and it's like he had this 20-foot het blonde female that was probably bigger than a basketball. Like you could see the fat rolls on her side. He's like, "Oh yeah, she gave me 1 clutch." She's like 15 years old. So if that snake was a healthy, good animal, that snake we would think would have been breeding every season. So
okay.
I don't know.
That was just a genuine question that was presented. It's been presented a handful of times, and you have the experience to talk on it.
I've seen people say that too, like, "Oh, that's not, snakes will breed in shit environments." I mean, they might, but I don't think if they're healthy, they're not going to breed.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So with your feeding schedule, what is a typical or an average male adult as far as length is concerned?
So,
how big if someone was wanting to get a male, what do you tell them when they ask you how big will a male get compared to a female?
Males can get just as big as females. They can. I mean, us in the retic community, we've just kept our males smaller, like we do. We just, I have 2 males here that are a little bit on the larger side. Most of my breeder males are like in that 8 to 10 foot range. I have probably one male that's probably about 12 foot right now. I mean, he's a great snake, but I mean, he eats pigs. I'm sure if I fed him more, he would grow more and get bigger. There's big males out there. Prehistoric Pets is another, go back to them. They had a giant 21 or 22 foot male tiger retic. My first real big retic purchase back in the day was a platinum tiger male that I bought for like $3,000 at the time. And I got that snake from a buddy named Jason Gaspar, or Jim Gaspar, the Gaspar Jamps. He's the one that started the Gaspar Jamp stuff. That platinum tiger, when I got rid of him, was every bit of 16 feet. Huge male. Ooh. So, I mean, I don't tell people that males are going to stay smaller. We in the community keep them smaller, but if you feed them like you feed your females, it's going to get just as big.
Wow.
I mean, look at Weston. Weston, he has a giant, I think it's the Sula Malaysian cross male, and I think that's the snake. He's huge. He's got a big purple anthrax male that's probably 12 foot. It's just, that's the way the hobby's been. People feed them lighter so they're smaller. Because, I mean, it does suck. If you have a big 12, 13, 14 foot male and they're in full breeder mode, that's a dangerous snake, man. Very dangerous snake. Like, you do not want to take a breeding, like a combat bite from a male. That will ruin your life.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to move a 7-8 foot male that's going crazy than a 15, 16 foot male. So I think that's part of the reason we've done. I think that's part of the reason over time it's kind of transitioned or evolved into that too. Is and smaller males tend to breed better. Those big, giant, huge males usually aren't the best breeders. They can be, but the smaller males they can get the job done just as well as these bigger males. So, yeah.
I've got a pied male that gets
testy
testosterone filled real quick, so I know.
Yeah. that orange glow sun anthrax male I sent you a picture of that you were like super excited about. That guy is an asshole. He's 9 foot and he sucks, man. You can't even touch him. He is violent. So he's a lot of fun.
He's beautiful though, man.
Yeah, but he sucks. He's the worst snake. He's one of the worst snakes I have here. So
see, same. My pied is probably the best looking snake I have right now in my collection, big size wise.
Yeah.
Fucking can't pull him out to save my life. I'd kill to bring him to a show. Be like, hey, look at this ginormous pied.
Yeah. Yeah, the pied stuff's great. I love the pieds. One of my favorites.
Bah humbug. Go ahead, Lee. I see you itching over there.
A couple things. How often? So when you feed like that 30-pound pig to that female, are you feeding her every month or every couple months?
So I don't follow with the bigger stuff. I really don't follow like a strict feeding regimen. But yeah, those bigger snakes that are eating, and I will say I don't feed 30-pound pigs all the time. 30-pound pig is a lot of food, a lot of feces to clean up. So they can, and I've done it. But something big like that, like my average pig for the bigger females, they're probably in the 15. I usually feed them roughly like 15 to 20 pounds of food at a time. But yeah, that's probably, it could be every month and a half to 2 months. Kind of depends on the female. If I'm trying to get, cycling her to breed, I'll try to feed her a little more. But for the most part, it's like every month to 2 months, maybe somewhere in there. But obviously the babies and stuff I'm raising is eating, weekly. But once they hit a certain size or age, I back them off and I feed, having this many animals too. Like I like feeding the bigger meals less often. It's less cleaning I have to do. If I have to feed every week and they're pooping every week and they're peeing every week, I have no time between work, my kids, life in general, the snakes, the animals. To do it every week would be, it would be a nightmare. So doing it every, the bigger stuff could go 3 weeks between meals. It definitely helps. I've always done it that way, and it's always worked for me. And I like doing it that way. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then the other thing was like, so when I do the super dwarves and stuff like that, like I never tell anyone like a definite like one size. I always give them a range, and I always base my range off of like the mother's size and not so much the father size, but like the mother size. And then I usually swing the range 2 feet bigger and smaller. So, if she's 9 feet, I'll go, the range is like 7 to 11 feet.
Yeah. I mean, that's another one. I think it's a very layered, there's a lot of layers to that too. Cause I look at it as, you hatch out a baby, let's say the mom's 10 foot. But let's just say that maybe you fed it not a lot of food, not a small amount of food, an average amount of food. Now, let's say if you were to feed that snake more, that snake could be 2, 3, 4 feet bigger. Does that change the outlook on those babies' potential? Because those babies' potential, the snake's going to only hit what their genetic limit is. They're not going to go past it. Whether you feed it a ton of food or a little amount of food, it still should hit that genetic end goal, right? I think the bigger ranges are better. Again, since I'm a mainland guy, I don't breed dwarfs or super dwarfs. I don't really have to worry about that. But when I sell a snake to somebody, and I tell them it's a full mainland, they'll ask me, how big is it going to get? I say, well, first of all, feeding is going to be probably the biggest factor of how big it's going to get. And being a mainland, it could get anywhere from 9 to 10 foot up to 17, 18 foot. Really. I mean, you really don't know, it's so hard. It's like the feeding thing, the size thing and the feeding thing, I think are so layered and there's not like an exact answer.
Yeah.
After doing this for so long, it's just, I could tell you with the best guess how big it's going to get, but at the end of the day, it's up to the buyer. That buyer could go home and never feed that snake, and it'll never get 6, 7 feet. Or that buyer could go home and feed that thing a rat every week, and that snake could hit 12 foot in a year. It's very, it's a hard one to answer.
Yeah. That's why I usually give that range and go bigger than what the mom is, and, a little bit smaller, kind of give that big wider range and say, it can outreach the mom. It's just, obviously though, that depends on what the mom is. In the instance she wasn't a pure. So I think that would change things a little bit for me. So
when you start crossing in the super dwarf stuff or the dwarf stuff into the mainlands, I think then you run the whole gamut. You're going to have those babies that might get more percentages of the mainland or more percentage or higher percentage of the dwarf stuff. So I think you're going to hit. That's why you do still see some of these 50% super dwarf animals that are 11, 12, 13 foot, and then on the other side of the coin, you might see these 50% calatoas that are only 7 or 8 or 9 feet. It's depending on the percentage of what parent they got, I guess more percentage of the parent. And then it goes back to the feeding too. Are they slamming this thing with food or not? So,
yeah, I personally do. These guys can attest. I personally do slam my snakes with food, and they're not huge. They don't get big. I have a 6.5 foot female that's pure, and I slam her with food.
What is she feeding on? Because I think food too. I think the type of food plays a big difference too.
Jumbo rats, and I've given her colossal rats as well.
Has you tried any rabbits or small pigs on her yet?
No, she's just not that big. I'm not comfortable. What I would give her as far as a rabbit, a bigger rat is more, what I would feel comfortable giving her it's not the same. She's so small.
And I think the thing too is people don't truly realize what these snakes can take down, and I get it. I have friends that have bred retics and they don't feed bigger than a 5 or 6 pound, pig to some of their big snakes. But these snakes they can put down some serious meals. Even the smaller locality stuff can really put down some serious meals.
Oh yeah. She has a lump for like 3 or 4 days when I feed her like the colossal or the jumbo rat. It's huge. She looks like she ate a hippo. She's just not that big. And I think there's this misconception that these snakes are way bigger and way thicker than people realize. Like when we say we feed them a colossal rat, like she looks like she's about to explode. Her scales are all stretched and pressed and everything like that.
They're meant to be more lean.
Out.
They're meant to be a more lean animal. They're not supposed to be super crazy, huge and fat. It's a long, lean, active animal.
Yeah. I do feed. I feed pretty heavily, and I have just found. Now I have found there is a difference when when and how the animals have been bred, and specifically like the parents and stuff like that, which I think more is coming out on that, on like how much the mother is contributing to everything when the embryos and all that shit are going in and the follicles are growing, what's being contributed is a little bit different. But everything that's kind of been raised from like a pure line, like a pure female was like the start of the line as far as like morphs go, has dramatically stayed a lot smaller. Now on the flip side, I've gotten some stuff where the mom was a mainland and the dad was like a pure super dwarf, and they're double the size of an equivalent flipped the other way. And it's several of them are like that I've, have.
Yeah.
And then
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that enough. I mean, I've heard people talk about it and stuff. I know there's it's like a split. Some people say that that's true, and some people say that that's not true. I personally have not really looked into it all that much, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure.
But that's why I do that, and that's why we do see things small, but also like the range thing. Even if I'm doing pures and I'm telling people 6 to 9 feet, I'm still telling them the potential of that animal, even at a pure, can get to 9 feet. I don't think there is any falsehoods in what I'm saying there, because we can't control how that person's going to feed it.
Exactly.
Not everybody's going to feed like me, and not every person's going to feed like you or like Levi or like Bill. So I think having this assumption like, well, that animal's a lie because if I had it, it's like you don't have it.
Well, that's what I tell everybody when they buy a snake from me, or even they come up, because I talk to a lot of people about retics at the shows and stuff, and I tell pretty much everybody it's kind of going to be what you put into that animal. I mean, really their overall growth at the end of the day, whether it's a dwarf or a super dwarf or a mainland, is really going to be on you, because you could take that snake home, like I said, and you can feed the shit out of it and it's going to get big, or you take that snake home and hardly feed it, it's not going to grow. So at the end of the day, it's on that buyer, and like I said, I've had customers buy mainlands from me and they email me pictures a year later and it's 9 or 10 feet and it's eating 4-pound rabbits. And I've had people then come back to me and say, hey, this snake is it's still eating small or medium rats, and they've had it a year and a half, and obviously they're not, in my opinion, feeding it enough, but the snake is growing and it's shedding and it's doing everything a snake should do. In the wild, they're not eating constantly. Wild caught stuff would come in all across the board. You'd have tiny wild caught animals come in. You'd have giant wild caught animals in, but you don't know how old they are. I mean, some of these snakes have an abundance of food and some of them don't. So you could have, a 10-year-old wild caught animal that came in and is tiny, or you could have a 2-year-old giant animal that came in and had an abundance of food. You just don't know.
So how do you base the whether the mainland male is ready to breed or not? Do you base that more off of length or age, or a combination? Or I
pop them. If I see sperm plugs, they're ready to go for the most part. So, and I've seen mainland males breeding at 5 months old and sire clutch fine. So I personally have never had a male go that early. The earliest I've ever had a male sire clutch was probably like 11 months or a year. That's probably the earliest I've had a male go. But I've had numerous friends that have had males go from 5 months to a year. So, but that's a lot. I mean, you're pushing that male hard. I mean, you're feeding them a lot to get them up to size, and then it's too some males just might not be sexually mature that early. This particular male was. He was producing big sperm plugs, and he got the job done, which was wild, absolutely crazy.
So it's definitely age based, first. And
foremost. I mean, I think so. I mean, they're going to hit sexual maturity when they hit it. I mean, we don't know for sure. I think the safe bet is, I tell people when they ask me, usually males are about a year old. I wouldn't even really try to start pairing up a male until they're a year old. Just to be on the safe side. Figure by a year old, that male should have enough size to go in with a female safely. I've had females crush and kill males, just not, big females with smaller males. I had a female literally crush the male's skull like a pancake. I put him in. He was small and I was nervous, but he was producing sperm plugs and stuff. And he was probably 11 months or a year, but she was just too big and she killed him. But I think about a year is kind of what I usually try to tell people. yeah, it's part of it. Unfortunately, it sucks, but
That's no, fuck that. I'm good.
very scary.
Yeah, it's
So
it blows.
to go back on something real quick too. So Lee, going back on the previous conversation about pigs and other feeders into the locality. So I'm going to channel my colubrid side of things here, right? And go, why would you do that? What would be the necessity in feeding a pure Calatoa, a pig or rabbit per se, versus like a rat looking at what they eat on the islands? You know what I'm saying? Like they're more on a leaner diet out there. I feel like the necessity to that would be, okay, cool, I can make the snake bigger by giving it something that it's not naturally eating.
Well,
Proving you guys wrong type argument. You know what I mean? And that, I only say that from a colubrid's perspective.
no, I hear what you're saying, but I mean,
I'm not going to feed a variable king giant rats. You know what I mean?
well, like what is? I mean, from what I've heard and from what my understanding is, especially like the Calatoa stuff, right? They're primarily eating bats, right? From what I've read or heard about, bats are very, very small mammals. They're in captivity. We're not feeding them bats anyways. So for me, I get pigs cheaper than I get rats, and I can get tiny little pigs. I mean, tiny, tiny little pigs. So if I have a snake that could eat a big jumbo ass rat or something like this, I'm going to feed it a small pig. It's cheaper for me, and I think it's a more nutritionally better animal, right? Rat is so much fur, so much bone. A pig is, or a guinea pig. I love guinea pigs. If I have a guy that I get guinea pigs from all the time, that is to like put some weight on, especially for my females that are done breeding, you know, and I need to get their weight up quick. Guinea pigs are the best thing. But I mean, yeah, that's just, you know, I think it shouldn't matter just because in the wild, yes, that's what they're eating. They're not in the wild though. They're in captivity. So we should be giving them the most nutritional food that we can give them. And I think pigs would be better than rats, in my opinion. I just think that you get more protein and it's not to grow them up faster or bigger or make them anything like that. It's having a collection like this. It's cheaper for me to do it that way. I mean, a big rat, a jumbo rat is what, $6, $7, $8? Something like that.
Well, but it also doesn't make too much sense with what you have as your collection either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I mean, I get pigs for like a $1.25 a pound or something like that. So it's a lot cheaper for me to do it that way. But
see, with that being said, with the nutritional side of things, and like if that's the true motive behind it, cool. All the power to you. But that just outside looking in as devil's advocate.
I hear you. I hear you 100%.
Now, okay, hold on. On the feeder subject, yo, thank you for telling me about guinea pigs because I made a deal with my daughter. And I was like, hey, if you show me some responsibility, keep the room clean, you know, as like a motive. She wants guinea pigs. I'm like, we're going to have the same deals we do with the rabbits and everything else. They're breeders. You keep mom, you keep dad. I get the others for what I want. You know, obviously getting the kids used to the breeding program.
They're awesome feeders, dude. They are fantastic. Hey. So the guy that I get my guinea pigs from, I don't get a lot of them anymore, but problem is I'd have to go get them live, right? I used to get rabbits and guinea pigs from him. I'd have to go get them live, bring them home, you know, call them, bag them, do the whole deal. I'm super allergic to rabbits and guinea pigs. I found out, like, highly allergic. Like, I go to this guy's house, I have to wear rubber gloves. I have to wear a face mask. I bring my wife's inhaler because it messes me up for the whole weekend. I cannot, like, it's horrible, right? So he got out of the rabbit thing, and I kind of fell into the pigs, and that's why I feed the pigs primarily. But he'll call me every once in a while and say, hey, I got 150 guinea pigs. Do you want them? And I go there, and he doesn't even charge me. I go there, get them for free, bring them home. How can I turn down free, 150? And they're not small. I mean, these guinea pigs are 3 pounds. They're like a football size, giant guinea pigs. So
I was looking at them at our track store the other day, and I was like, these things would be perfect.
The only issue is I've had 1 or 2. They do get hooked on them sometimes, and it's hard to get them off of the guinea pigs once they eat them for a little bit. So that's the only the downside to them is they can. Not to say they all will, or you'll even have an issue ever, but I've seen it. I've heard of other guys that have had issues. Once they feed them a few guinea pigs, they get kind of hooked onto them. So, which could be an issue.
Okay. Much like mousers. Damn, sorry. I really wish I could flip the camera around and show you guys this. I've got a 12-foot female mainland about 5-6 feet in the air right now. For anybody that wants to argue that they're not arboreal,
they do like to go straight up. There's a video I have on my YouTube page, and it's when I went over to the gas bar. So are you guys familiar with the gas bars, the gas bar jams? Okay.
Yeah.
So their jams were, so when I was getting into retics, 14 years old or so, Jim Gaspar, his son is Jason. Jim Gaspar was like my mentor, right? He was the only guy that would help me out as a 14. I've talked about this numerous times. I asked a million questions. I'm going to own a ton of retics. I'm going to breed them, blah, blah, blah. Nobody would give me the time of day like, yeah, this fucking kid, like, he's going to buy all these retics. They're all going to die, right? Jim was the only guy that ever gave me the time of day. Called me on the phone, walked me through any issue I ever had, right? Went to his house and saw his jams, and his jams were giant. He fed very hard too. 18, 19-foot jams, pure jams, 100% pure. But there's a video on my YouTube of me and a few other buddies going over to his son Jason's house, because Jason took over the collection when Jim passed away. And we pull out a giant Jampea. She's probably 18 foot. That snake goes immediately to the ceiling. Like, it moves like a 6-7 footer, dude. That snake wanted to go straight up immediately. The big snakes will absolutely climb 100%. If they're given the space, they'll go up immediately.
The amount of argument I've had over this is almost disturbing in the past, of like retics don't like to climb and they're too big and this, that.
No,
and
they will.
And it's like,
100%.
no, they're
always. I always tell people, if it ever breaks out, look up.
Now, I do think like the real big stuff, I don't think they're climbing as much. Like, I think they will and they can. But like the big snakes, the real big snakes, I truly think like majority of the day they're sitting like off a game trail waiting for something to walk by, and then they're picking it off. These giant Sulas and these giant Sumatrans, I really don't think they're up climbing in the trees all that much. They might be, and I'm sure they do, but I think they're more terrestrial. It's still a lot of snake in a heavy bodied animal. A 200+ pound retic climbing is I don't know. I've never seen any photos of giant snakes like that up in the trees, but I especially think the smaller, 13, 14, 15 footers probably go up way more than we think.
You ever seen Jungle Book?
I have seen Jungle Book.
Yeah, that's a big snake climbing in a tree.
Is it a retic?
I mean,
I don't know.
Probably should be.
This fucking guy.
Green, isn't it green?
Great.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But then you know what I do notice is it does seem to be more of the locality stuff. So like even my stuff here, right? I bring out some of my, multiple gene combo animals, and they kind of crawl around on the floor for the most part. My Sula stuff, those things want to move. They want to get up on top of the racks of cages. I've had one pull down half my drop ceiling before. Like, they just want to go. It's the wild caught blood stuff, and first generation animals definitely have a lot more of that wildness to them for sure.
Oh yeah. I think retics, and you'll probably agree with me, I think they're the most adaptable species of snake on the planet. Like, as you're saying, you can feed them a certain way in a certain schedule and they can be 9-10 feet and be healthy, or you can feed them a different way in a different schedule, different food, and they can be 18-20 feet and healthy as well. I think they're just an extremely adaptable species. They
are probably the most hardy snake I think that you really could get, to be honest, right? That's funny. Retic anaconda. I mean, those things, it is hard to kill them. Like, look at berms, right? Berms are notorious for getting respiratory infections. I've had a couple retics get them, and you just bump their temp a little bit, and it usually clears up without any issues. I've seen them kept in some shitty, nasty, horrendous conditions, and they're alive. You put 90% of these other species in there, those snakes are not going to live, right? They are. I've had my power go out in the winter, and my snakes are in my basement. And again, I'm in Chicago; it gets cold. I've had my power go out for a day, and it's cold. I'm talking probably low 60s getting into the 50s. They're cold, but they bounce back really easily. So
yeah, Yeah, I have found that they like the cooler temperatures a little bit more than people realize. Like if you go read a book that's, written kind of many years ago, and it's like, oh, hot spot of like 95 or whatever it is. I don't know. I haven't looked up recently. It's like mine fucking hate higher than like 88.
When I started keeping, that was kind of the mindset, 90, 92 hot spot, and the big thing, I don't see it even now as much, is the pushing. Like retics are notorious pushers, but back then it was even worse. And I think it was the heat, right? I've slowly, over the years, I've kind of slowly started bringing my temps down. I think most of my animals now are like 86, 87.
Yeah.
If I feed a female a really big meal, I do bump it up to 90 just because they're so big, right? They're this big around and they're tilted on their side. They have so much food in them. So obviously I want to bump that heat up. But my ambience, again, in my basement, my cool side, they're probably in the mid 60s. And I do see females on that cool side a lot. So they're definitely a lot more cooler, tempered animals, I think, than what we used to, especially believe they were.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. I had, did the whole buy the book and then like 90, whatever it was, hot spot and shit. And I had a couple that were really bad pushers. And I'm like, this just doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
I looked up the islands and stuff, just like what's the temperature out there right now? And then I kind of looked that stuff up. I'm like, it doesn't seem like it's getting all that hot. So,
and then keep in mind they're in the dark. They're in the jungle, buried under foliage. It's dark. It's wet.
That stuff,
it's a lot cooler. And I used to have a lot of snakes that would push quite a bit. Don't really have any that push anymore, unless they're really hungry and they're searching for food. Then, but I had some that were notorious. Would like split their face open if you didn't like. Don't really see that too much anymore. It kind of doesn't happen like it used to. And it's crazy to think that was only 10, 15 years ago. But we also used to think you had to get your females giant and fat before they breed. And now we see that that's not the case either. The smaller, leaner animals tend to breed a lot better. So a lot has changed in a short amount of time.
I was told that grow tents would never work for mainlands and that they'd push out of them and they'd escape. And 5 years in, no escapes.
Yeah.
As long as they're kept right and given something to do.
It'd scare me, though. That would scare me in a grow tent, man. It would scare me so much.
Walking proof of it, man. My fucking mainland right next to me is in a giant grow tent. She has shit to do. She's fed right. Temperatures are right. She doesn't have a reason to escape.
It can happen, I guess. I was just watching a video the other day of this guy that kept a pretty good-sized croc monitor in one, which I would never think in a million years that you could do that. And he was saying it's working out great for it. Never in a million years would I think that could work.
If they're kept right, man, everything's variable. It's that mentality of I'm right, you're wrong, fuck you, that always comes into things. And then it's also the cohabitation, right? It's such I'm not too vast on it with retics. Eventually I'll try it in a large scale and see how well it goes. Doing it the right way, right? Like I feel like cohabitation was gatekept for so long because it's an in-depth, it's a multi-layer conversation. You can't go, you can cohabitate these to the general public, and the general public's gonna be like, oh yeah, if I can cohabitate these, I can do it here. And people just want to throw everything in this like 4x4 box and this is all the exceptions. Like, no, you have to do X, Y, and Z to make this work. The variables and how you have to do things, and not everything is the exact same. You can't cookie cutter. You can't just cookie cutter cohabitation. You can't just cookie cutter keeping retics. You can't just cookie cutter keeping venomous. You can't just keep cookie cutter keeping colubrid. There's so many different ones, and you can cohabitate govers in the right settings and the right everything, but you cannot cohabitate kingston. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I believe there's a guy that used to, I think he was in California that had some big retics that he cohabbed. I don't remember exactly what his name was. But I don't know. I think if you went through the right precautions, I think you could do it. Obviously, don't put two males together because they will kill each other.
Exactly.
Like they will fuck each other up really bad. And then
I don't think you really do a male and female either.
Well, so for example, like when I do breeding, I'll leave the male in with the female for 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't pull them out at all. I leave them in 2 or 3 weeks. I think the dicey part is feeding. That's where I think it would get tricky, right? Because I mean, even if I'm not feeding stuff, man, I have some snakes that are so food driven that just movement in front of their cage, they hit the glass. So I mean, I could see a big female doing that, hitting the glass, bouncing off the glass, and then maybe hitting the male and grabbing the male and wrapping them up. So I mean, I've
had that happen.
Yeah,
I've had it happen.
It happened to me too. So I bought the first Phantom that Nerd released back in I don't even know what year it was, 2000 something. I paid like $7,500 for this snake as a baby. First male in the U.S. that they released. Right, got him up to breeding size that first year. Threw him in with my big tiger, and I tapped her. She knew there wasn't food coming. He went in there. He started arcing. He like bumped her, and she
just the right way
lit him up. And I was like, oh no. I'm like, oh my God. Like I put dude, I maxed out credit card to get this snake because I wanted to be the first one to do it. Like stuff you shouldn't, like I would tell people, don't do that. And luckily it wasn't that bad. Like he had a little bit of a cut, I treated it, betadine, Neosporin, whatever, and it healed up 1 or 2 sheds. But it was ever since then, I get so nervous now putting them together. Just, I mean, quick second, man, and it could be a disaster.
I had one incident, and it just cured me, man. I was cohabiting females together constantly, and didn't think a thing of it. And then I had the one incident, and I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could happen with females too. I think a female, if you're feeding in the room,
it's a food.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna grab first and ask questions later. So I mean, it's. And I don't know if you guys have seen some of them bites from some of them bigger retics, man. They just destroy flesh, destroy it. So
I thought she'd never heal right, and she did. She looks, you can't even tell.
They have amazing healing potential. I've had some that you would think not. I've had some, but I've seen some really bad ones where like their necks are severed, and I mean it might not be perfect, but they come back from near death. It seems like, and they heal up very well. So. A lot of food and clean enclosure, man, does wonders.
You said you keep the male in there for like 2 or 3 weeks. Do you like do an intro and your female's like tail wagging and doing the pissing and the shit?
I pull him.
You pull him out, or you pull him on those?
It depends, right? So it really depends. So if I put a male in and she's just doing a little bit of wagging, a little bit of pee, I'll leave her alone, especially if she's just kind of chilling there. But if she's racing around the cage trying to get out and there's she's pushing out her cloaca and there's blood in there, I'll pull them out. But if she's just kind of in there and just kind of wagging a little bit, I'll leave them alone. But if they're fine, I'll leave them for a couple weeks, and just kind of let them do their thing. I used to go in there, okay, a few hours, I don't see anything, I pull the male and then I reintroduce. But I don't like the introducing of them. I get so nervous with it. So once they're in there, they seem to be okay. And it just seems like my best season ever. I did that with all of my breedings. I kind of just left the males in there and they did their thing. And I had a handful of females drop for me and it just worked out a lot better. So again, as my kids have gotten older, my time is more limited. I can't sit there when I was single with no kids and go down every hour and check the retics and make sure they're breeding and doing this. And I just kind of just put them together and let them do their thing now. So, but
I would always watch, and because I was nervous about the intro shit, mainly because I just knew how their food response was. So it's like throwing something in there, especially how much more aggressive it seemed, or like the uptick when I tried to started doing the breeding thing, the cycling. Like she was way more intense about eating her food. It was very sketchy. So I would watch them, and then literally as they would lock, and then I would watch them lock, then come back after they're separated and then pull him out and then just reintroduce him a couple days later.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it that way too. Absolutely. My thing is just, the reintroducing of the male is always a little tricky. It's always a little, I feel like you're going to be on edge a little bit with that.
Yeah. I always got lucky because it was always it would only be like a 2, maybe 3 intros before she would just go off food completely. So then that whole thing kind of went away.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
So what's it like running a big retic page, Jake? Enlighten us in the beauties of
fucking sucks, dude. It fucking sucks, man. I hate it. I shouldn't say I hate it, because if I truly hated it, I wouldn't do it. But no, it's a pain in the butt, dude. It really does suck a lot of the times, man. It's like, I feel like I said, I work with kids, right? I do a lot with kids. So basically I'm in a way like a glorified babysitter at work. And then I feel like I'm a glorified babysitter on having to admin a page all the time too. There's a lot of stuff people give me a lot of shit for. And over time, as I've gotten older, I try to keep quiet a lot more now than I used to when I was in my 20s. But there's still times where I say shit I probably shouldn't say. But, yeah, it's there's a lot of people that give me shit. For example, bite pics, right? There's a lot of people that complain, oh, well, bite pics should be allowed so people can see what the damage these snakes do before they want to get into retics. And I agree 1,000%. I wish we could post bite pics, right? I think it would deter a lot of people away from buying retics if you could see the damage that some of these snakes really do. However, we post bite pics, it gets flagged, we can lose the page. The Retic Nation has been around since me and my buddy Shane, we started the page, right? So we were friends with Gavin and Travis. The website was kind of, the Facebook groups were kind of becoming a thing, getting more and more popular. So me and Shane went to Travis, and Gavin was like, hey, are you guys cool if we were to start a Retic Nation page? Like, it's your website. That's kind of where it seems everything was trending. Yeah, cool. So Shane and I created the page, and I think it's been around since 2011 maybe, or 12 or something like that. It's been around a very long time. So I don't want to lose the page because there is so much history on that page. I mean, information, breedings. I mean, there's so much on there that it would be, if we lost that page, it would be a real detriment, I feel like, to the Retic community. A lot of guys don't like the page because the way I run the page, which is fine. I don't care. But it's mainly I want to be a part of it because Shane is no longer an admin, and I feel like me or him, since we kind of created the page, one of us have to be the admin, right? So if he were to come back to me and say, hey, I want to be an admin, maybe I would step away for a while, just clear my head and be, you know what I mean, like kind of not be involved in it, because it can be very stressful, and I shouldn't be stressed out about a Facebook group, but I do. I get stressed out a lot over it. So but I mean, I do love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing it, right? So,
what's your biggest stressor, or like, what's the biggest thing that pops up that you have to deal with?
Like I do, as much as I don't care what people say, I try to make everybody happy, and I try to run the page as fair as I can. So when my integrity gets called out, it pisses me off, because it's like I'm just trying to run the page to the best of my ability, right? I'm trying to make whatever there is 18,000 people on that group, right? So trying to make everybody happy, which I know is impossible, but I'm going to try to do that to the best of my ability. And it's just, you're just never going to do that. No, you're never going to make everybody happy. People are going to hate you and say terrible things about you. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, I guess, with running a page. And now that I've done it so long, I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's just second nature now doing it. But
yeah. So. And I mean, I look at it like, just to kind of give you like a boost, it's social media. I can tell you for a fact, going to expos, I've walked past people that fucking hate me, that have said shit online, that have not said a motherfucking thing in person.
Yeah, I've been there. People got to remember, the same thing with the podcasting, the social media pages. The internet's a completely different ballgame. I bet you dollars to donuts, there's probably 2 people in this entire community I've met that I want to get sideways with in person, because I, 1, know them, and 2, they actually back up what the fuck they have to say. Yeah.
Everything else is just nonsense. It's cool. You can use a keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an incident, what was it, a few months ago, or it was around March, because it was right before Tinley, and I had a guy, I had to boot him off the page. He was just being a pain in the ass, right? Just being an asshole. And I'm like, you're gone. He doesn't even keep retics. He was just running his mouth. So I booted him off the page. So then he was private messaging me, I'm going to be at Tinley, saying stuff to my face, or I'm going to come talk to you. And I'm like, come talk to me, dude. I'm 40 years old, dude. I'm not going to fist fight you in a reptile show. But if you're trying to get down, he walked right by me. I think when he realized I'm 6'6", 325 pounds, he didn't say shit. So, and I'm not gonna fight you in a fucking reptile. My kids are there. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
But you got booted off a page, man. Relax. You're gonna fight me over it. Come on.
Yeah,
So,
it's fucking ridiculous. Some of the shit that is said, and like I look at you and then I look at Dax and I'm like, I don't envy either of you in these fucking pages. Like I watch some of the shit that goes down. I'm like, this is
a lot,
fucking
man.
crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's, you don't want to ruin friendships over it. You try not to. And sometimes it happens,
See, I stay on 10 toes on that one too. Like if I don't know you in person, like I've never shook your hand, I've never met you face to face, I could give a fuck less what you have to say. Like your opinion means nothing to me. You mean nothing to me. We've never met. We don't have that connection, of meeting in person, knowing each other on that level. Like if you're going to get sideways with me, I don't care. Like I don't care how many snakes you bred. I don't care how big your name is in the reptile community. I could give a fuck less. Oh, cool. You got a bunch of world's first in your collection. Like at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like now, if it's face to face, like absolutely, like that adds something different to the game. Like this person, like you and Travis, right? Like you guys knew each other. Your kids play together. That's a different bond. People don't understand that. Like Bill knows my family. Like we fucking were just over there Sunday, all fucking eating dinner and watching fucking hockey together and just having a grand old time. Like that connection is something different, even to the minimal of like shaking hands. Like I've met the ops, as people call them, or whatever the fuck you want to say, like in person. A handshake and a face-to-face conversation changes everything.
And it's like we don't have to talk about it too much or whatever, but like with the Garrett deal, right? The Garrett on the Retic Nation, and I had to remove him from the page and stuff. Garrett, the thing is Garrett and I are friends, right? Like I've known Garrett since 2000. Well, probably 2009. I've known Garrett, right? Met him in person. My wife, when we were dating, she flew me out to Prehistoric Pets for our 1-year anniversary. That's the first time I actually got to meet Garrett and hang out with him. But I talked to him prior to that. And then when all the stuff went down with all the Sula Super Dwarf stuff, and I chatted with Garrett about it and kind of went over stuff too. And I'm like, it was just one of those things. But the thing is, people were getting so mad. Like, how could you do that to Garrett? Or like you're an asshole. And it's like, look, Garrett and I are friends, and I do like Garrett a lot. Garrett's helped me a lot. We've chatted a lot. But at the end of the day, I want my page ran a certain way, and his stuff I didn't agree with, so he got removed. Doesn't mean I hate Garrett. Doesn't mean I don't like Garrett. But it's the way it is. So that's why I said, like, ruining friendships, man. You can't. It can happen, and it sucks. But I have so much history, and a lot of the general public, or I guess the newer people do not realize, like, a lot of us guys have known each other for 20-ish years, 15, 20-ish years. So, like, we go back a long, long time. There's a lot of history with a lot of people, drama with a lot of people. And this shit is stuff that goes back. There's one individual, what is that guy from Harry Potter? They say you can't say his name. We won't say his name, but there's one in particular, and it's like drama with him for the last 15 years with every single Retic person, right?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, I'll message you privately.
No. We'll see you backstage after this is over.
But it's like, there's so much history that people don't realize. So like when these fights break out.
Don't insult Voldemort like that, all right?
There you go. That's his name. But the thing is that's the thing, right? There's so much history that goes back 10, 15, 20 years that people don't know. So a lot of the times when, it's quiet for a while and then shit pops off, it's a lot of this old stuff that gets brought back up that never got resolved over the last 15 years. So, and then people are like, what the hell's going on? Like, what is, I get messages all the time. Like, what is this? Why is this happening? Or who is this guy? And I'm like, it's just too much to even talk about. Like, there's just so much history. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot though, man.
You're right. With the new generations coming in and people that don't know the past of things and don't have the privy to really know. Like, you got to ask questions. Like that's my biggest advice to people I talk to when they're like new is like, hey, I really want to get into this. Go find an OG person and ask them behind the scenes really what's up. Like, it's not a public conversation. It's not a podcast. It's a phone call. Get to know this, and this, and you'll understand why this certain things are the way that they are. And honestly, once you figure out, don't get fucking involved. If you're not involved, don't get involved. It's not.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of the new people try to get it, I don't want the drama. I mean, I do participate in it if I need to, because I back my friends. I'll back my friends, the best I can. And if it's about me, I'll get in it too, right? But there's a lot of people that just get into it because they like the drama. They want to be involved. It seems like they're important or whatever. Why they do it, I don't know. But just you don't need to. Just the less of that shit, the better. It's it sucks. It sucks so much. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could just breed my snakes and be done. I keep telling my wife, I'm like, you should just take over all my social media and everything, so I don't have to do it. Just you run all that, or when my kid gets a little bit bigger, my son gets a little older, I'll let him do all that stuff, and then I can just play with the snakes and do that. Let him run all that stuff. So, but it's not fun. It takes a lot of the fun out of it, to be completely honest with you guys.
It does. I talk to these guys about this shit all the time. I'm like, how much I don't want anything to do with the retics because of the way that it is. And like, I'm not shitting on the retic community or all Levi's being negative about the retics again. It's just a part of it. Like with thou that shall not be named. Like granted, I kicked that one off, but I've known about that person for a long time. And at the time I thought I was justified. Turns out I wasn't, but still. Yeah. Even before that, like I've always had this, like, I've seen the shit that's unfolded, and it's a lot, man. Yeah. These snakes are so fucking cool, but the stuff that comes with them, and people just can't agree to disagree either.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of this stuff, I see comments from people like, I've gotten some shitty messages from people like, oh my God, I can't believe you're friends with Jay Brewer and this and that, because somebody saw a picture of me at Jay's handling his collection or, whatever. And it's like, yeah, I was very tight with Jay too. And it's at the time, Jay was the top guy. So it's like, yeah, I've had my connections with these people. Doesn't mean now I think they're great people or friends with these people, but it's the past, right? People are just so quick to judge because they see a photograph or something, reach out and a lot of the OG guys seem to get, I see a lot of shit that gets talked about the OG guys, how nobody wants to help or we're gatekeeping or this or that or whatever. Any single person that has ever reached out to me, I am more than willing to help. My wife kills me. We go out to dinner. I'm on my phone texting retics shit, right? Or, hey, I got to run outside real quick, and I'm on the phone answering a quick question. I am more than available to anybody at any time about retics, and a lot of the guys that I am cool with and friends with are the exact same way. So I think there's just this stigma about I don't know if it's the Retic Nation guys or the old school guys or whatever it is, why there's this stigma, but you can reach out to pretty much any of us anytime, and I feel like everybody will help out, so I don't know why that is. I've never gotten a good answer why it's like that or why there's that stigma, but
I don't know that the gatekeeping thing necessarily is like the big one anymore. I think it's just the overall drama that unfolds. And again, like I was saying on a Instagram live, I kind of crash out. Everything from the smallest thing to the biggest thing to the middle thing, everything is a nuclear fallout in retics. Like I don't see this in any other community where literally everything has to be a nuclear fallout. Like a nuclear bomb went off, it's Hiroshima all over again. Yeah. People are freaking the fuck out. And when it's a simple, like I'll keep it 100 with you. The Garrett thing with the Sula shit, that should have boiled down to like the OGs can have their point in it, like you and everybody else that's been around for 20 years. Like you guys have a discussion amongst yourselves, whatever. But ultimately, that need to boil down to Garrett and Weston. Fucking let those two cook and do their thing, and everyone butt the fuck out.
Yeah.
Call it a day. That's where it should have ended. Let it be. Let these two cook. If there's a heated debate between those two, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Weston's leading the Sula charge. Garrett's leading the Super Dwarf charge. Let them cook. Let them do a study. Fuck it. However it started, but let them cook. Everyone butt out.
Yeah.
Everyone else's opinion at that point, irrelevant. Let the two cook.
Yeah, I heard that fell through.
Did it?
That's what I've heard. So.
But, I mean, ultimately, it is what it is. Like,
yeah.
Again,
it is.
Something that, and honestly, like, you find out the origins of it. Garrett doesn't really post on your page from what I understand anymore. Like, it's been a while since he's posted. It was it was a mistaken post in the first place.
Which one?
The Sula cross, the goat line. Like, it was never meant to be posted there.
It wasn't posted in Retic Nation. It was posted on Instagram, is what it was posted on. But then since Weston and myself are big Sula guys, right? So it got leaked. It got brought to us. There's been some other stuff. I'm not going to get into details on all of the little other shit, right? But basically, It came down to, I truly believe that that's an inaccurate description to say that those snakes are going to stay that small. There's been some other remarks that I think are wrong, and I think being as big as Garrett is, that I'm trying to think of the right wording, right? That I think he should have been a little more. He seemed very like direct, and they're going to stay this small. I think he should have been a little bit more open to like, hey, not exactly sure what's going to happen, blah blah blah, right? And then I reached out to Garrett and I said, hey man, like, you're going to have to say something about this on the Nation. And he put up his huge long video. Didn't really, I guess, explain it how I thought he was going to explain it. And didn't really, I was hoping he was going to go on there and kind of say, hey guys, like, I shouldn't have said it this way. I apologize, but he kind of like doubled down on it, which I kind of was like upset that he didn't. And then we chatted, and I just kind of, I laid it out. I was like, man, like, I kind of feel like you turned your back on the Retic community in a way. Like, we've been friends for almost, 20 years or over 20 years or so or whatever, or not quite 20 years. And I'm like, you never post in the page. It's like you don't talk to any of the old school Retic guys. You're not, like, involved in any of our stuff. So it kind of feels like you turned your back to us. We had a big, long, lengthy conversation back and forth about it. Very respectful. Like I said, Garrett's a friend. I still consider Garrett a friend. And it's just like I said, my opinion for the page, I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to promote that stuff on the page. And I said we're going to make changes, and a lot of that stuff I'm not allowing. So if people don't want to do it, then we're going to remove those people. There's 100 other, and it's not like Garrett was posting every day, so I don't think it truly matters to Garrett, right? Because he's not on there every day posting pictures or this or that. I think he posted in maybe once a year, if that, on Retic Nation. So is it really going to bother him that much that he's not on the page? We're going in a different direction, and that's the way I took it as, and that's kind of where I'm steering the ship. So it's just, that's how it is. There's obviously more to it, but I'm not going to go into more of that right now. So
that's fair.
But
let's let it lay where it is.
But like I said, Garrett's still my friend. I'll talk to Garrett. I actually talked to Garrett at Tinley after all that went down. So it is.
Again, going back to that face-to-face connection makes it completely different. It's a different animal, right? It's a different thing that people can't quite wrap their heads around unless you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. But I do agree with you, man. The Retic stuff it's like, and I don't know if it's because it's more of a smaller niche kind of community that just shit blows up so quickly all the time, and I don't know why that is. I'm not sure what the reason for that is.
It's little things, it's not really like groundbreaking discussion most of the time. Like, some of them are, but most of the time it's little things that, like, you look back at like the root cause of it, and you're like, this is a phone call, a couple of text messages, and
it's always the stupid shit. Like you said, it's like feeding turns into a shit show. Caging seems to be a big one. The terminology of the localities turns into a shit show. Super dwarfs. It's like there's more than one answer for a lot of those questions. Like the feeding thing, I think is very different. Like we've chatted about. I think everybody just wants a direct answer, and a lot of this stuff there's not direct answers to. There's variability, so, and people are so set in their ways. And this is how I do it. This is how it is. You're wrong. You're an asshole, which is not how we should be doing it. It's I look at like Aubrey from A&B. He's one of my best friends in the retic stuff. He's super successful, makes a ton of cool shit. Him and I couldn't be more different on our feeding approaches, right? And I bust his balls about it, and it's just, we're complete opposite, but we can do it different ways and still be successful and still be friends. It's okay. We're all
that agreeing to disagree thing.
Right.
Like, okay, we don't see eye to eye on this. It's not the end of the world.
Right. Exactly. Some people just can't do that. So, yeah.
And it's unfortunate the retic community overall can't figure that out. It would be nice if we could.
Yeah, it would be. Definitely. But
I don't agree with hybrids.
Oh, man. Love the hybrids, dude. I love them, dude. I love them.
I am so outnumbered now. It's not even funny.
Dude, the hybrid shit is awesome, dude.
I bring this shit up for amusement at this point. Like, I'm coming around to it, but I still...
They're so cool, man. I love all the hybrid stuff, man. Not even retic stuff. Everything. I love it. Like, I think I sent you pictures of my buddy Shane's, all his Timor cross stuff. Did I show you some of those, or did you see those?
Yeah, you said
Dude, those things are, in person, they are crazy looking. Crazy.
They are cool. I'll give you that. They are cool.
I've been trying to do jungle retics for so long now, and I cannot get it to happen. I have a big bad eater female, and she laid couple years ago. She laid a clutch, but it was like 49 slugs or something crazy, 50 slugs, and can't get it done, man. Can't get it done. I'm trying so hard, but
you'll get it done.
I want to try to see a scrub retic is what my goal. Like, that would be my ultimate hybrid. A scrub retic, I think, will be crazy.
Oh yeah, that would be super wild.
Supposedly someone did it and the female got egg-bound and died, is what I've heard. So we'll see. Somebody might get it done, but
yeah. Oh, well, it'd be cool to see it for sure.
Definitely.
All right.
Cool,
guys. Anyone got anything else? Any more questions?
Thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was a good one. I appreciate you coming on. I probably have a billion more questions and stuff, but it would go on for way too long.
Oh yeah, I know how it goes. So
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll have to pick something. We'll have to come up with like a part 2 and pick a couple of things back up, because I got about 1,000 other questions too. But
yeah, I got so many other topics. I
Give
just
me a shout.
holding back because it would be at least an hour-long conversation if I started any of these right now.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think anyone here's got another hour. I got to pack. I'm flying out tomorrow. So
Nice. Yeah, whatever. Just give me a shout, guys. No worries.
all right, sounds
yeah,
good.
you want to?
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll set something up, bro. Let's call it a night, boys. Thank you for coming on, Jake.
Right.
I was really excited about this episode.
Yeah, man.
So
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Stick around. We go backstage real quick, and then but yeah, like, share, subscribe. See y'all later. Have a
All
good
right, guys.
one.
Thank you.
Peace.